All right, in this video, we're going to tie up 2 white bass jigs. I powder coated them both white bases with red sprinkled on top. One with chenille, one without chenille. I think the one without chenille is going to hold up a whole lot longer against white bass than the one with chenille. But the one with chenille is going to be a little more sparkly, a little more stand out. I think, in my opinion, that's what white bass go for, is they go for something that stands out, something that pops, something that they can see and they chase after. We're going to go through the whole process. We're going to powder paint them. We're going to tie each one of them up, and y'all let me know which one you like. Thumbs up, message. I think they're both going to be awesome looking awesome jigs. I think they're both going to produce fish, but I really think this one's going to outlast this one. Let me know in the comments what you think. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Help me support my channel. Everything that you see on here will be on my Amazon link in the description. So check it out. All right, so we're going to be tying up some white bass jigs, and I believe what I'm going to be using is this 1/8 ounce Texas minnow style head. I'm going to be main coating them in white. The body of the head will actually be solid white, and then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of red on it. So we're gonna do 2. I got 2 laid out because I always do 2 because I usually end up screwing the first one up. So we're going to get a white powder up and running. Gonna get some flow to it. I noticed I got a volcano spot in it that ain't wanting to give up. For some reason, it's kind of gotten thick. So we're gonna see if we can get it to where it's gonna work out. Come on, come on. It's not going to, so we're gonna go through this pretty fast. We're gonna heat it up. I already got my torch running over here on the side that you can't see, and we're gonna try to get it in that white before it goes all over the place. And we're gonna dip it in our red, and we're gonna splash some right there on the top of it. This is my favorite all-time white bass jig. Is gonna be a white and red. So we're gonna hang that one up. Then we're going to do one more. So like I said, I usually end up getting it screwed up when I tie just one up. So we're going to do 2 for this video. Texas minnow, you can get this from Jason Brummel. Everything else you see on here should be on my Amazon link. We're going to heat it up for like about 3 seconds. We're going into white. We're going to tap the excess off, and then we're going to sprinkle some red on. Might go just a little bit more red on this one than we did on the first one. That's my process for 2 coating jig heads right there, just like that. That is the easiest way to do it. Put them in the oven, bake them, or put some UV resin on them, and you'll be ready to go. So let's shut this off. Let's go over to the vise and get some eyes on. Get this set up and rolling. Hang with me. So this time of year, it's springtime. It's mid-March, going into April. Everything's starting to warm up. Trees are starting to bloom, grass is turning green, and if you're not thinking about crappie right now, you're thinking about one other fish, and that's white bass. So I get a lot of people that ask me, what's your favorite white bass colors? My favorite white bass colors are anything that's going to grab their attention. Silvers, whites and reds, whites and chartreuse, tons and tons of flash. We're going to be tying these up with hairline dubbing, solid tinsel Chanel silver. This is medium size. There's a part number on it if you want to look it up, and there's a price to pay for it. For years, I've been getting all my stuff at Plateau Fly Shop. Well, there's some issues going on there where they're having a hard time keeping stock on the shelf. So I'm down to doing exactly what everybody else is doing. The only place I got now to get my material is Bass Pro, or order it on Amazon. So as I find things on Amazon that I'm going to be using, I will add links to all that on my Amazon account. So don't forget to check that out. I'll put some things in the video if I can, you know, like on some of those videos where it says shop down here on the corner or something like that. Watch for that. I'll be putting some of that stuff on there and giving you links to help you find some of this stuff easier as I find those links. So for something I use that you can't find, send me a message, let me know, and I'll see what I can do about getting it on my Amazon account or getting it to come up here on the screen. So that way all you gotta do is just click it and go to it. So let's get the timings. Let's tie my favorite white bass jigs, and hopefully I can get those in the water maybe today. If not today, here sometime pretty soon. If I can't catch a white bass with them, I'm gonna try to catch crappie with them. So let's tie some of these up and see how they come out. Okay, so we're back over. We got it in the vise. And I went with an 1/8 ounce Texas minnow jig head. These are ones I get from Jason Brummel. So I'll put a link to the video on how to get to him too. I went with an 1/8 ounce because When you're out fishing for white bass and you look over 20, 30 yards and there they are busting on the top, you want something that's going to reach them. You know, I know a lot of people got rods that'll sling a 16th ounce jig that far, but if you don't, I want a head that's going to be able to make it to that cast. And I was going to do this with Chanel. I'm going to do two. I'm going to do one with Chanel, one without Chanel, in the white bass colors that I like. So we're going to start out with our Sally Hansen's just like normal. And we're going to match this jig head. We're going to do white, red, and quite a bit of silver. We're going to silver flash this one up. And this one here is going to get the Chanel on the body. So we've coated the head just a little bit further with the Sally Hansen's than I would if I was just doing a Chanel-less body. So we're just going to start right there behind the head. 4 or 5 wraps. We're going to catch our thread. Go right to the point of the hook. I went just a little bit past it. And we're going to come back up here to the head and we're going to stop. All right. So what I'm going to do next is I want my contrasting color inside. So we're going to be using those red feathers. Some of that beautiful hackle I got in the mail. I know a lot of people, I got tons of messages about them being out of stock on everything. I promoted them. I didn't realize they were out of stock. So I would check back with them, contact them, and see if they're going to have that back in stock. But we're going to pull off a couple pieces of red hackle here. Let's see. Let's start with, I think we got like 3 pieces right here. We're going to do 3 of them. We're going to get them all pulled up here, all nice and even, stacked up. That ain't that bad. That's pretty good right there. We're going to cut them off. I want them, well, I want to come out past the jig head a little bit, so we're going to go pretty good ways up. We're going to use almost the whole length of those feathers. We're going to trim them off there and just let them fall on the floor. And this is going to be the very center of this jig. So we're going to try to weasel them over to both sides of it, but I don't think it's going to happen. And we're going to wrap it all up with our, I didn't even say what thread we're using. We are using same thing I always use. Well, we got Danville's today, 210 denier in white. All right, we're going to get those feathers tied on. I'm probably going to cut two more, so we're just going to go ahead and add them. And we're going to be doing a Chanel-less body one next. So I probably should have just saved those for the Chanel-less body. These two here, we're going to turn that head completely over, and we're going to lay them right up here. Be careful, don't get your finger in that hook. If I was smart, I'd bury the tip of that hook back in that vise jaws. I am using the Peak rotary vise and have no negative comments whatsoever with the Peak rotary vise. This is the only vise you'll ever see me using. Peak, I love it. Love the Peak vise. So now we got some white hackle, and we're going to pull off 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to, you can go back through there and you can cut them V's out. I don't cut a lot of V's out. I do most of my time for YouTube purposes, my own jigs. I don't really sell that much anymore. I'd rather just do them on YouTube and teach people how to do them. So we're going to take 2 of them. We're going to pull them together. We're going to put those right on the outside of those red ones. So we're going to trim that off. And we're going to put it right there on the side. Yep, it's going to be a pretty thick jig. It's going to be full. And we're going to put 2 more on the other side. And hopefully I still got enough room where I can put one in the middle, because I still got to keep in mind that I'm adding flash to it and putting Chanel on it. So, but that Texas style minnow head gives you room to add a lot of stuff to it. It's kind of bulked up a little bit. You can make it kind of thick. So now we got those 2 cut off. We'll tighten our vise up a little bit. We are going to add those 2 to this side. See what we're doing? We're just kind of burying the red right in the middle. We're going to go 1 more right across the top. Might be 2 of them in there. No, there's just 1. I was going to go fishing this morning, and it was kind of nippy out. I hadn't done a YouTube video in a while, so I thought I would do one. And if you're liking white bass jigs and the white bass content, let me know. Hit that like, that thumbs up, so I know you're liking what I'm doing. I got a lot of responses on the bluegill jigs, Send me messages. Let me know. Let me know what y'all are mainly wanting to see, and we'll tie those up. Next, we're going to put in our flash. And all my flash I've got on the link, on the Amazon link. Go there and get it. You'll never get it this cheap anywhere else. Definitely not at Bass Pro, not at any kind of fly tying store. It is all right there in Amazon, and that is the stuff you want to buy. That is exactly what I am using. Scissors, the loon bobbin, there's links for all of it. It's easier for me to put one link up that's got everything versus all week long sending people, 2 or 3 links a day. So I put it all right there in one spot. All right, so we got all of our flash, and I tie my flash in loose till I get down here to my last wrap. Get back up here past it. If you pull real tight there on the end and wrap it real tight, it all just wants to pop up. So go loose all the way to the end, and then when you get back up here, and now you can tighten it back up. That one still popped out. Made a liar out of me, didn't it? All right, so now we're going to be using Hairline Dubbins Solid Tinsel Chenille. And this is kind of heavy, medium size, and it's flat. And that's why I haven't used that much of it, because when I say flat, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not. When you're tying this, you almost need to twist it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to start right there behind the head, and we're going to tie it in. We'll come back up here to the top, and we're going to pull our bobbin down and let our bobbin hang. So that is like really, really flat. So what I do, I kind of whip my fingers down just a little bit, and I start twisting it. And that's going to bulk it up a little bit. That's going to help you get rid of that flatness that's in that chenille. That's how you take care of flat chenille. And we're going to start wrapping it on. We're going to get right here to the middle, and I usually do 2 wraps right on top of each other, and then go back to 1 wrap. And that's just to kind of make the body look a little more natural, kind of like it's got a belly to it. We're going to pull it up right there and wrap it. We're going to come back over one more time. We're going to go around with our bobbin. Let's go around one more time with our bobbin, just for the safety aspect of it, and make sure it's going to stay together. And we're going to cut our chenille off right there. All right, this is where you're going to double check it. Make sure everything looks the way you want it. I like it. I like it. I think this one here will hammer white bass. What do y'all think? Let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite way to catch white bass is. I know when I was a kid, we used to go to the Ohio River when they were biting, and we just use a night crawler and a split shot a lot of times. We couldn't get them to bite on jigs. Night crawler and a split shot, throw it out in the current, just let it kind of drift around. Is how we caught them. So next, we're going to go to our eyes, and these are, I believe, 4. It could be 5 millimeter. The ones I got here might be a little bit too big for these Texas minnows. Actually, what we're going to do before we put them on, I'm going to put just a little drop of Sally Hansen's right there in that socket. Not really even a drop. I just kind of brush it on, and that'll, in case those eyes don't want to stick to that Protect powder paint, that'll kind of help them stay in spot until I get them UV resin coated. We're going to take that eye right there and push it on. I believe these are 5 millimeter eyes. These are going to make them really big, but the reason I went with these is because they're flashy. They're reflective. We just got to hope they stay on there long enough for us to brush that resin on. And I think they will. You can surely use super glue here if you want to. I don't like using the super glue because the super glue and white and red paint will cause a reaction, and it'll cause that paint to melt some, and then you're gonna have a little bit of a screwed up paint job. So if you're really careful with it and your hands aren't shaky, use the super glue. If you're like me and your hands are all shaky and beat up, push them on the easiest way you can. And they make tweezers for this. You can take a little poker and stick them. I mean, there's tons of ways you can do them, but honestly, to get them to go on there and stay the first time, you're probably better off to use super glue if you can get it on there right. So we are going to take our UV resin, link for that in Amazon too, and we're just going to put a light coat right over top of it. And then we're going to come to this side and say, that one's already moved on me. We're going to push it back, and we're going to put a light coat over top that one. I say light, that went on like really super thick. And we're going to stop right there. We're going to take our UV light, and we're just going to set it up enough to where we can put some more resin on it. going to hold it there. And that's not going to cure it, but what that's going to do is it's going to set it up to where it's kind of hardened, not completely hardened, not cured and ready, but enough I can keep on working with it with the UV resin. I can brush a little bit more on. So obviously this is going to be the one with eyes. Let's finish up our UV resin and get this one hanging in a box, and then we will get some right there in the threads underneath that head. Now is when I'm going to get that UV resin on tight, thick. I'm going to push it. So that way if there's any gaps underneath those eyes, that UV resin is going to go up underneath there, and it's going to cure when I put it in the light box. And we're going to touch that thread with the resin. And what that's going to do is that's going to protect the water from getting in there and having that knot deteriorate over time. If you want to put your jigs to the test, throw them in a school of white bass, and that will tell you after you've caught multiple white bass on it how that jig's holding up. But you got to remember, a crappie isn't going to treat a jig quite the same way a white bass is. I've had white bass just put dents in crankbaits, knock the paint off of them, straighten the hooks out. White bass is a tough fish. They're just about hard on everything. But there we go. That's the one with the Chanel body. So let's move right on. Let's go right on to the one in the Chanel's. Get my light box going. So we got the exact same thing, exact same head, and we're gonna brighten this one up just a little bit more than we did the last one. So we're going to be same way. We're going to put our Sally Hansen's on right behind the head, and we're just going to go ahead and drop those eyes in now. Put that drop on those eyes, so that way that Sally Hansen's is going to get a little bit gooey and sticky, and it's going to help those eyes hold on there a little bit more. Get the peak vise rotated all the way over, and this time we are using I'm still using 210 denier, but I am using Ultra Thread 210 deniers. Link to that below too in Amazon. We're gonna go with our red hackle. I'm gonna go with these little bitty sharp ones down here. I like those. That's one good cool thing about this. I mean, there is a ton of jigs in these, and you got your choice. You know, you pick these little ones that you can use for almost use them as flash, or you can use them for the whole body. And we pulled off like 3 of them, 4 of them. We're going to take 2 of them, we're going to stack them together. It's like a, cut those off, let them fall up here. I'm going to wrap those 2 right there behind the head, and I'm using my fingers as a guide. I don't want my thread to go any further than that. We're going to build it up right here. We're going to start working on our taper. Right off the bat, I start working on the taper. We're going to take, it wasn't enough feathers. We're going to get a couple more out of there. Yeah, 2 more being plenty. So we're going to take these 2. Put those 2 on that side. Trim those 2 down. These are my favorite. The Chanel's body jigs are absolutely 100% my favorite ones to use. I love the way they glide through the water. I love that there's no Chanel that's got to dry. If you're selling jigs, if you're in that business now, I strongly encourage you to start doing those style jigs, because they will last longer. People are going to want to come back and get more. So now we are going to take 2 white hackle feathers. We're going to stack them up. Going through the exact same process, except for the only thing on this process now is we're not going to be adding Chanel. We're going to take these 2 white feathers and we're going to put them right here on this side. And with each little stack of feathers, I kind of move the neck back just a little bit just to help catch it. And I went with the pink thread just because it's white bass. I think with the white bass, you know, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. You send me a comment, let me know. I think the majority of the time, all you got to do is get their attention. I don't think it has to completely mimic a bait fish. I think it's just got to be an attention getter. So we're going to stop right there where I got my fingers at. Now we're going to start really adding stuff in. We're going to start building that taper up. Notice how I'm pulling way back here instead of right here. And we're gonna step it. So I got my taper done. I'm happy with my taper. Now we're gonna put some flash in. And like I said, we're tying attention getters. So we are gonna go with this flash here. I don't know what the name of it is, but I'm pretty sure it comes in that pack that's on Amazon link. And I'm gonna be generous with it too. I don't know if I want that. I'm going back to the silver. Like I said, an attention getter, I want something that stands out. This is a white bass jig. It's 100% an attention getter. That's the way I've always kind of looked at white bass. They're predators. They're hunting easy meals down. They see it, they're going to go after it. That's kind of the way I've always classified white bass as a predator, scavenger, a destroyer of baits, rods, reels, fishing line, the whole 9 yards. If you ever do any spider rigging and you get one rod in the middle that gets a 2.5 pound white bass on, you know they're going to destroy everything. So we're going to cut all that flash off just to make it kind of even. And I ended up with my tapered neck a little further back than what I wanted, but I'm okay with that. We're going to take it. We're going to put our whip finish on. And as I whip finish, I don't stay in one spot. My knot ended up being a little further down that way because if you're not careful, all your threads are going to start sliding. If you've tied these kind of jigs, you know what I'm talking about. I have a lot of people that message me and say, want to know what's the easiest way to keep that from sliding. Just keep it in there tight and work it back. Don't let it build up there too much. We're going to go with the exact same eyes, some silver ones, because they're attention getters. They're reflective. It's going to get its attention. I see some feathers sticking out my thread over here. I didn't get that perfectly the way I wanted it to, but they're mine. And I'm pretty much going to sacrifice them to some white bass. And if I don't get a hold of white bass with them, I'm guarantee you I'm going to be vertical jigging these for crappie. I love how this jig turned out. I like coming up with the color, picturing it in my head and getting done with it and going, man, it's definitely one that's going in my box, that's for sure. Uh-oh. I got an eye stuck to my finger. I thought it was the one that was on that head, but it wasn't. All right, so we're going to touch it. And you ain't got to brush it over the whole eye. You just got to touch it somewhere enough where that UV light's going to set it up. Put our UV light on it just like we did the last one. That should set it up. We should be able to go ahead and finish up the head, the neck, and all the rest of it. My UV resin sets up pretty quick. If you don't believe me, take some outside on a sunny day and just pour it out of your bottle and watch it, because it will harden as it's being poured out. So now we're going to big old thick glop right there on the neck. When I'm doing the Chanel-less bodies, I am very, very generous with the UV resin. There's a lot of resin in that bottle. It'll last you a long time. You got to be very stingy with it, and it's nowhere near expensive as what some companies want it to be. There's cheaper ways to buy stuff, cheaper ways to find things. I know Amazon's not the ideal place to be buying stuff from, but I'm kind of stuck in that boat now where a lot of my stuff's going to come from Amazon. And as I find it, if I don't like it, which I did, found some that I didn't like. I just not really sure how to do the video on something that I don't like. Know what I mean? Negative reviews. I don't really want to give a negative review, but that's really the best thing I can say about it is there's some hackle feathers on there that are coming off. And this ain't curing it 100%. Still got to go in my UV box, but this is enough to where I can still kind of fool with it some. Boom, there it is. I think this is my favorite. You got that one, and we got the one with the Chanel. Tie both of these up, take them and throw them in a school of white bass. Try to figure out your results. Let me know how good they stay together. I think this one, Chanel-less one, is going to outlast one with the Chanel. But we got the Chanel glued down. We got the neck UV resin coated. Which one's your favorite? Chaneled or Chanelless? Let me know. Hit that like, share, subscribe. Just tell me what you think about them. Tell me your favorite way to catch white bass. If you got a story on the way you used to do it, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And if you got something different you tie, put it in the comments. Let me know. Let all the rest, everybody else know. And I'm still going to do that paid subscriber thing. If I hit, I think it was 50, I'll do a free guided fishing trip. So don't forget, hit that join button on the channel. Check out the Amazon link for all the materials that I've been using. Until next time, folks, I will see you later.